A frightful greetings to you on this Halloween. I am Mike, Penguin Truth, and this is Otaku Evolution. This is the conclusion of my look into the spine-tinglingly frightening Death Note. When we last crept the foggy chambers of this tale of death gods and murder, Light Yagami had used trickery to convince the Kira investigation team of his innocence, which involved having his memory erased. When he regains his memory, his endgame is set in motion. It turns out that Light came up with a complicated plan where without his memories of the Death Note, he would surely assist L in tracking down the new Kira, who was gifted a notebook by Rem. When he regained the book, he would have proven his innocence via his work with the team, and for extra security, some fake Death Note rules.
As well, the back cover has some more instructions on how to use it. There are 2 more rules. One of them is, if you make this note unusable by tearing it up or burning it, all the humans who have touched the note till then will die.
What? Is that really true, Aizawa?
Yeah,
That's right. With a rule like that in place, the notebook's safety is guaranteed, which means my memories of it will remain.
Rem, there's no way the old man back home will get mad at us if we write fake rules in here, is there?
No, there are no rules against doing so.
Fine then, Light, I'll do it. But you owe me an apple for this.
Oh man, maybe I shouldn't have let my curiosity about seeing a Shinigami get the better of me.
Maybe, but then you would be the only one in the investigation who didn't know what we were dealing with. Is that what you want?
No, of course not. I want to be on the same page as everyone else on the task force, Chief.
And then, there's this last rule. According to these instructions at the back of the notebook, if the person using the note fails to consecutively write names of people to be killed within 13 days of each other, then the user will die.
Wait a second. If that's true, then it means Light and Misa are completely clear, doesn't it?
Yeah, now that you mention it, that's right. Light and Misa were detained for more than 50 days and are still under surveillance. If either of them had been Kira, there's no way they would still be alive by now.
Wow, that's great news, isn't it, Chief?
Yeah.
Now completely in the clear, and with the Death Note protected by the Destruction Rule, Light, who has made Misa continue judgments of criminals, is pushing Rem to make a move. If Misa is caught as Kira, she'll probably be executed. Light, knowing how Rem feels about Misa, gives the Shinigami only one real choice. L plans to test the 13-day rule of the Death Note, which will confirm whether or not Light and Misa are truly innocent of being Kira, by having a death row inmate write in it. Rem cannot allow this to happen because Misa will be uncovered as Kira, so she sacrifices herself to do one last thing for Misa.
What is this? A blackout?
Watari?
Data deletion? What the hell's going on?
I told Watari to make sure that he should erase all information in the event that something were to happen to him.
If something were to happen...
Could it be?
Where is the Shinigami?
Good question. I don't see it.
disappeared.
What's going on?
Everyone, the Shinigami...
said, I just died in your arms tonight.
So, Light wins, and the world becomes truly peaceful under his reign as Kira. The end. Well, I didn't really need 2 parts for this show. It's only... Oh, right. Well, to the dismay of many, many people who either read the original manga or watched this TV show, the story continues well after the triumph of Light over L. Some say this becomes a hindrance, as the story seemed to have a natural ending in Kira winning, and at times the latter arc feels only like an excuse to avenge L and let the side of righteousness win. And honestly, I think there's some validity to this argument. Why not be bold and let the world's status quo forever change? Why must the arbiters of the norm vanquish the threat to it by the end of the story? But, to be honest, there's also plenty pointing to the conclusion we're given. Since, after all, the investigation team still lives, it makes sense that the author intended Light's downfall, but perhaps what most object to is how it was executed. The new opposition to Kira's reign as god of the New World are a couple of orphans from the same place L was raised. Apparently the orphanage, Whammy's house, was started by Watari to raise a crop of super-intelligent detectives. You know, like you do. One of the kids is Mello, a super-competitive, hostile and insecure kid who strikes out on his own when he's informed of his mentor's death. The other is Nier, a cold, analytical shut-in and dedicated, smug little douchebag nobody likes but everyone admits is brilliant. Mello hates Nier and resents him being more likely to inherit L's name. One of the biggest issues Death Note fans have with this final story arc are L's replacements. It's enough that L died in Light 1, but then they brought in these replacements, and the popular conventional wisdom is that they're just inferior copies of L, especially Nier. L was a really compelling character. He was this enigma, a super observant and somewhat manipulative personality. He was a bit childlike and sometimes pouted when his theories turned out no results. He didn't mind being overly frank and rude at times, and his personal habits were eccentric at best and annoying at worst. But he was always somewhat charming. His back-and-forth games of reasoning with Light really made the show. So when he's gone and they put these 2 new characters in his place, it can be difficult to sympathize or root for them. And Nier doesn't make it easy. Because, honestly, Nier is a smug little asshole you want to smack the smirk off of. He is a colder, harsher version of L, whose hikikomori levels are even higher. He makes wild assumptions and talks down to nearly everyone, and fans felt like he didn't earn his knowledge of the Kira case like L did. All good points, but you know what? Guess what? Nier is my favorite Death Note character. No kidding. I love the cocky prick. He's such a little incorrigible douchebag, and I like him all the more for it because he's this albino-ish shut-in who plays with toys all day, and while he's pretty arrogant, clearly respects his subordinate's skills and gives Light the business on the regular.
Yes?
This is L.
I don't believe it. It's L.
I've already heard what investigator John McEnroe, or rather Larry Connors, had to say to Deputy Director Yagami in regards to the notebook and the Kira case.
Will you help us with the investigation into NPA Director Takimura's murder?
I see. Well...
Pass me the phone.
Huh?
I'm pleased to meet you at last, L number 2.
Number 2? What do you mean by that? Who is this?
There's really no point in trying to hide it. We are a new organization known as the SPK, or Special Provision for Kira. It was established to find and capture Kira without the help of L.
Furthermore, 7 of our top members already know of L's death.
They do? Where'd they hear that? Who the hell told them?
As for myself, I am at the center of the SPK. You can address me as N.
N? Who is this guy? Is he joking? But... this strange feeling... what is it?
And Mello? Mello is pure punk rock. Mallow doesn't fuck around, folks. While Nier is stacking his dice and smashing action figures together, Mallow is taking over the gangs of America and eating chocolate like it ain't no thing. His oddly multiracial crime empire is just his tool to draw out Kira. He kidnaps a Japanese police official, and when that doesn't work out, he just kidnaps Light's sister Sayu, since he knows Light's dad is attached to the investigation. His goal is to obtain the Death Note, and his resources are a little crazy.
Missile?
Whoa.
You won't be able to track that with radar.
Is the notebook on that thing?
The missile's been launched.
The missile or the helicopter? Which one?
Boss, I'm sure you were watching. I did everything you asked me to, just like we planned.
Yeah, I saw that. Good job.
Then this is gonna wipe out all those past screw-ups of mine, right?
Oh yeah. Wiped out for sure. Do it.
Near, the helicopter.
I thought so.
In that case, it means the notebook is definitely on the missile.
Damn! We can't track it. We've lost the signal. It could be anywhere now.
As soon as Mello gets his hand on a notebook, he cleans Nier's house, writing the names of members of his investigation team. Well, that's less playmates for Nier, but at least he can give out Christmas bonuses now. That brings me to the next topic of discussion. Why is the Japanese Kira investigation team so incredibly stupid? For years after L's death, it never occurred to them to suspect Light of being Kira. They even make him the new L, even though for some reason they never get a single lead on the Kira case the whole time because he's playing them like a fiddle. But you'd have to be pretty dense not to see the writing on the wall here. L dies as soon as he's about to test out the one rule that could disprove Light's innocence. Years go by without any leads. Then suddenly Kira sends you a death note to punish kidnappers he can't get close to after you gave yours away to them. Then Nier appears on the scene, and immediately he's the one who starts to make the connections, putting together that obviously Kira is close to the Japanese investigators. And only after Nier begins to plant suspicion in the minds of guys like Ayazawa and Mogi do they finally start to look at Light. Nier basically calls them useless in a later scene.
Mr. Aizawa, please don't take any unnecessary actions on your own.
Unnecessary actions?
Yes, this is not the point where we bring up evidence against Kira and openly confront him. I must corner him in a dead end with a plan that would guarantee his defeat. This is what it will take to stop him for good. Mr. Aizawa, I'm going to be blunt with you. You and the rest of the task force are already out of the picture. However, if you still want to help capture Kira, you can. All I want you to do is keep an eye on him as you've been doing.
That's it? Keep an eye on him?
Yes. Of course, there certainly is a purpose in watching over L. In fact, I've already taken it into account as part of my plan. That's why I'm hoping you can help me in that respect. I want you to watch him, in order to win against Kira. And after that, I want you to be a witness to the end of Kira.
A harvest moon has risen, and from the darkness deep emerges Fruitables by Lucky Squid Studios. Hauntingly precious fruit animal hybrid plushies conceived of in a ghoulish ritual by 3 dark mages. Eerie orange fox, spooky octo cherry, frightening eggplantibus. They'll petrify you with cuteness, as will dragon fruit and other designs. You can find Lucky Squid goods at Store Envy and Society 6. Fruitimals from Lucky Squid Studios. Buy them, or I'm coming for you! It's even worse than that, because Light starts outsourcing again, making a connection in the media in Takada, an old college girlfriend, who chooses a Kira fanatic, Teru Mikami, to act as another Kira and take the heat off of him. And all the while, the investigation team is too dazzled by Light's phony act of contacting Takada for investigative purposes. What a bunch of suckers. And then there's Takada. What was it with the manga's author that being a woman in Death Note is pure suffering? Misa, Naomi Misora, Sayu Yagami, and Takada are all treated like disposable garbage. Takada especially meets a horrible and humiliating end that just screams of an author's issues with women. In the world of Death Note, men can be ace detectives, top-notch FBI agents, stoic police chiefs, and criminal supergods. Women? Models, media puppets, homemakers, and victims. The only exception is Hal Lindner from Nier's group, and she's overshadowed by her male counterparts too. And after Sojiro Yagami's death and Light's ultimate fate, Light's sister and mother must suffer more than anyone. You know, it sounds like I actually hate this story arc, but I do so enjoy how badly Nier trolls Light at every turn.
The thing that's bothering me the most about this is the issue of those rules written in the notebook. I have reason to believe that one of them is fake.
Huh? A fake rule?
Yes. Al, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this. Out of all the rules, which do you think is the fake? I'd like to know.
By process of elimination, the obvious choice would be the one stating that the owner of a notebook will die if they don't write a new name in it every 13 days. I don't believe that.
I thought you might say so. I've reached the same conclusion.
Shinigami, you know the rules of the notebook well. Tell us, are any of them false?
No, they are all real.
I see. You have a Shinigami there with you?
Yes.
Is that so? I think I'm beginning to get the picture. In other words, Kira is there in the room, and he's making the Shinigami lie on his behalf.
Whoa, this guy's good. He nailed it.
Things begin heading towards their conclusion eventually when Nier's group catches on to who the newest Kira is. How? Well, apparently Nier has psychic powers. Okay, not really. In the manga there's about 30 pages of Nier sussing out who the new Kira is, with sharp reasoning skills. Not so much in the anime where they need the time to show Misa having dinner with Takada. Sure, it was in the manga, but why not use that time to actually show vital plot development instead? If you're going to cut something from the manga, why Nier's reasoning? In the anime, it looks like he has superpowers. Mello springs into action before Nier can, kidnapping Takada, but he's killed off unceremoniously, and we move into the final confrontation. I really cannot stress enough how incredibly stupid the investigation team is at this point. It should be incredibly obvious to everyone that Light is Kira, because everything works in his favor all the time, and they never pick up any real leads on the case. If Aizawa had a brain in his head, he'd separate Light from the others and imprison him somehow. But Aizawa is too old to be effective since he's not a teenager, and thus we have the last 2 episodes. Suffice it to say, the tension is palpable as Light finally comes face to face with Nier and his team in a small warehouse, where Nier plans to reveal something about the Kira case. Both he and Light are entirely confident of their victory. Mikami, who has the Shinigami eyes, is at the ready to write the names of all the people there who aren't Light, and our Zac Efron-looking main character declares his victory. A bit prematurely. Things, don't quite work out for him in the end. I won't go into detail about the ending. It's more of that, I know that you know that I know, and I knew that you would do this, so I did this trope that they've been beating us with. It can be tiresome, and here you almost don't believe how the victor pulls it off. But it does somehow come off as a fitting and satisfying ending nevertheless. The conclusion I've reached about Death Note is that it's really not especially about the moral implications about the Notebook of Death. That's entirely secondary to the game of wits.
After a while, they mostly stop discussing whether or not it's right to kill criminals with a death note if it brings peace to the world. I can't tell if this works in the show's favor because it dismisses there being an argument outright, or if it's a convenient sidestepping that keeps the story from being mature. I'm not even going to get into whether I agree with Light or not, but perhaps you can imagine my opinion based on statements I've made here. It's really irrelevant to the matter at hand. Is this a good show? And the answer is, yeah, it's a good show. It's not a mind-blowing masterpiece or complex philosophical treatise or even as clever as it seems to want to be. It reeks of frustrated teenage boy angst. The belief that, if only I had power over everyone, I would show everyone how great I am, whether intentional or not. But I enjoy the back and forth between the characters and some of their personalities, and it's kind of brilliant in how it absolutely serves as many demographics as possible while simultaneously shunning some of them. But hey, maybe even that's reading too much into it. And reading too much into something is truly spooky. Well, I hope everyone has a happy and safe Halloween. I'm Mike, Penguin Truth, and next time we'll take another look at my favorite sideburn sporting larcenist, Lubon III. Until then, see ya!